Recording in progress.
Okay, got that. Fine. All right, you can go. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're mamish. We have one of the more famous Gemaras in Shas tonight. Where are we? Gimel Beis. At least the first part. The first part is sad. It's actually sad. It's an extremely sad story, but it's one of the more famous stories in Shas. So Hurdus, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide lines down. 5 wide lines down on Gimel Beis. Yeah, so Hurdus, after the Beis Chashmonai Hava, Nasan Ena Ba'isa Tinoikis. So Hurdus was a slave of the Beis Chashmonai, and he had his eyes on a certain girl, one of the Chashmonaim's daughters. Yomi Echad Shama Hu Gavra Bas Kol Damar. One day he heard a bas kol. The Bach takes out the word Hahu Gavra. They heard a bas kol, says Kol Avda the morid hash the matzlach. Any eved that morid means to rebel. Anybody, if he rebels now, is going to be matzliach. So he was just an eved from Beis Chashmonai. So he said he's going to be matzliach. Kam katlinu lekulu marvase. So he went up and he killed all his masters, meaning he wiped out the whole Beis Chashmonai. B'shayre lahi yanukta, and all he left over was that girl who he had a crush on. Right? So kichaza he yanukta the kaboilim. So when that girl found out that he likes her, that he wanted to marry her, sleek lugra, she went up to the roof. Varama kala amra, and then she called out. Right, and Ramas, the Bach changed it to Ramas kala amra, and she called out and she said, "Koman dasiv amar, whoever comes later on in life and says Beis Chashmonai kasina, that I come from Beis Chashmonai, Avdahu, all it means is he's an Eved, because the whole Beis Chashmonai was wiped out. Because the only one left from the entire Beis Chashmonai was this girl, and that girl is gonna fall or jump from the roof to the ground, meaning she's committing suicide. And therefore, there's nobody left from Beis Chashmonai. So if you ever have anybody who claims that they're from the Chashmonaim, they are liars. Right? So you have a whole shiloh whether it was mutter for her to do this or not. Right? Was she allowed to commit suicide for such a thing? It would be a big chiddush to say that this is.
I thought Gila Rashi was not a Zara.
Yeah, but this was not Gulia Rayas. She's a single girl. Eved was going to marry her. There was no Gilead Rayas.
He was going to marry her, or he was going to...
I'm saying, so what? I'm saying it's an Eved marrying, certainly not Gilead Rayas. Right? I mean, whatever. It might be, maybe it's an Isser. I'm not even sure. Right? Anyway, but that's the way the story goes. So Tamna Sheva Shnin Beduvsha. So because she killed herself, so what he did is Tamna, he hid her, literally meaning, but he stuffed her for 7 years in honey. Honey, who's the story in Nach that says honey? Who's the story in Nach that he hid the wife in honey? Wasn't a story in Nach like that? Maybe I'm mixing it up with this. Either way, honey preserves. So he hid her. He put her in honey. There are those that say that he slept with her, meaning when she was in the honey. And those that say that he was not. He didn't sleep with her. The reason why he put her into honey is so that he would be able to get out his taivas on her. And those that said he did not sleep with her, he just kept her because everybody, I guess he hid that she died, and he preserved her so that everybody would say that he married the Bas Melech. Okay. Amar, now the story gets worse. Amar, he says, Man darish mikerav achecha tasam elecha melech. Who are the ones that understand the pasuk that says that you could only put a melech onto you from Yidden, right? So who were the ones that darshan that Rabbanon, right? Yes, the Tosfos says because really the pasuk is making it sound like only Yidden. Achechas is brothers, meaning that Yidden, not goyim. And the Chachamim, extended it to slaves. So he says, who are the ones that say that I can't become king? Because he was an Eved. Hordus was a slave. So it was the Rabbanon. Come, Katlinu, Lakulu Rabbanon. He came and he killed all the Rabbanon, except Shavki Bava ben Buta Lemishkal Eitzah Minei. He left over Bava ben Buta in order to take eitzes from him. On Tamid Aleph now. So Ahaderle Klila Daila. So what he did is he put a Rashi says it's a sheretz that has sharp things, sharp hair. So probably a porcupine or something like that. Nakrinu Leine, and he blinded him. He knocked out his eyes. Right now, because he figures if he knocks out his eyes, he won't be able to rally the troops to go against him. So Yom Echad also Yosef Kamei. So one day, Hurdus came and sat in front of Bava ben Buta. Amar Chazi Mar Hay Abda Bisha Maika Abed. So he said to Bava ben Buta, you see what this Abda Bisha means like an Eved who's a Rasha. Maika Abed, do you see what he did? Amar Le, he said, my Eved Le. So Bava ben Buta said to him, meaning he was testing him to see if he was loyal. So he said to him, what am I supposed to do to him? Right? Amalei Nilachi Mas, he said, curse him. Amalei Ksiv Gam b'madocha melech al tekalo. Even in your madacham, even in your mind, don't curse the king. Amalei Hai la melecho. He said, but he's not a melech because he's a slave. Amalei Levi Asher ba'alma. But even if he was just rich, Uksiv b'chadri mishkavcha al tekalo lasher. Even in the room, in your bedroom, in the room that you sleep in, don't curse the wealthy. Ella Nasi. So he says back to him, okay, so, and even if he said, and he continues, and even if we would just be a Nasi, you're not allowed to curse a Nasi. Amarle, so Hurda said back to him, but that's only if he does the Maisa Amcha, meaning if he's an Erlich guy. And this Hurdus is not an Erlich person, he killed out all the Chachamim. I love Maisa Amcha. He doesn't do Maisa Amcha. So finally, Amarle, Mr. Finamine, so Bava ben Buta said to him, I'm just scared. I can't do anything against him. I'm scared. Even though he made him blind and he did all these things, not even though, but he made him blind, etc., etc. But he is scared of him. So he said, I can't do anything. Amarle, Leka Inish to Azdal Delemale. He says there's not going to be any person that's going to tell the king that you cursed him. Tanova at Yasivna. It's only me and you sitting here. You can curse him. So Amarle Ksiv, he says it's written in the pasuk Ki Oifa Shemaim Yodachas Akol Obaknafayim Yagid Davar. The birds of the Shemayim can bring voices, and the Baal Knafayim is also a bird. Yagid Davar will say it over, meaning this is basically like the walls have ears. So I'm not going to curse him, even though it's just me and you. So Amarle, I know who. So then Hurdus how do you say? He was honest, and then he said, oh, it's me. Had I known that the Rabbanon were so careful, meaning in the meaning so smart, I would not have killed them. Meaning meaning the Chacham was smart enough not to try, and they would have been scared enough from Hurdus, they would not have gotten rid of him. So he said now he regretted it. So Hashta Maita Kante Duhu Gavra. So he said, so what should be the takana for that person? Meaning he's talking in third person. Now he regrets that he killed the Chachamim. That's a pretty heavy duty tshuva to trying to get tshuva from killing out all the Gedolim. So Amrale, who cover Irish Shel Ayla, he put out the light of the world because Torah is Or. Tisiv Kiner Mitzvah of a Torah Or. So then go be Isaac in Torah. Right? Or the Irish Shalom, which is the Beis Hamikdash. Tichsiv, B'naro love Kol HaGoyim. And it's gonna all the Goyim are going to be like from Nahar, like a river, to be drawn to it. So he told him, your tshuva that you can do is build a Beis Hamikdash. Or some say this is what Bava Mudu told him. Who sima eina shel, he blinded the eyes of the world. Right? If it was that's this week's Parsha Grada, right? So then go be Isaac in the eye of the world, which is the Beis Hamikdash. I'm going to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, which is the gain of your strength and the desire from your eyes. So Amalei, so that's what he told her to do. Go rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. Amalei, he says, I'm scared of the Malchus, meaning he's scared of the Romans, right? Because the Romans still had power. Amalei, so but Buddha told him, Shada Shlicha, go send the Shliach, but Belezel Shata, wait a year, Vilaakev Shata, meaning wait 1 year to send the shliach, then let the shliach stay in Rome for a year, Vilahada Shata, and let him take a year to come back. And while he's gone, meaning with this delay, you'll knock down the Beis Hamikdash and you will rebuild it. So Avad Hachi, it's exactly what Hurdus did. Shalchulei, so they sent to him, so the message they sent back, that took again, he didn't get this message for 3 years. If you did not put it down, if you didn't knock it down, don't knock it down. And if you did knock it down, don't rebuild it. And if you knocked it down and already built it, slaves that are Rashaim, after they do something, that's when they ask permission. All right? Im zayncha aloch sifroch kan. If you're happy with your zayin, with your arms, meaning your weapons, right? Sifroch kan, your safer is here, meaning we know exactly what went on over here. That you went and you don't really belong to be a king, and you don't belong there, and you're not a king, and we know you're an Eved. Right? You're not a Recha or the son of a Recha, meaning you have no lineage. Fine. Hurdus, Avda Klani Masavad, you're Hurdus the slave, and Klani Masavad, you freed yourself. My Raka. What does Racha mean? Right? Malchusa means king. I'm today soft and I'm a king that was anointed. Or we could say a different pasuk. Yikru lefan of Avrech, and they called Yosef. They called him an Avrech from the word Racha. Fine. Amri Misha. So that's it. So that's the story. So he built the Beis Hamikdash. Fine. Amri Misha Binyan Hurdus. Those who never saw the Beis Hamikdash or Hurdus built Binyan Noam Yom never saw a beautiful building in their life. But Banya, what did he build it with? Amarabba ba'avnei shisha umarmara. He built it with marble and plain marble, and marmara is green marble, right? Ikadamri ba'avnei kuchla shisha umarma. So with stones of which is really marble, blue, green, and white. Apik Safa va'ayil Safa. So what he did is he had one row stick out and another row in. Right? In order they could put he can put cement in there. And then he wanted to line the whole thing with gold. The Rabbanan said, leave it, don't do that. Because the green, white, and blue, or green and white, whichever, looks it looks like the waves of an ocean, and it looks beautiful. Okay, that is the description of the Beis Hamikdash that Hurdus rebuilt. Yeah, one of the sadder, stranger stories in Gemara. Fine. So now the Gemara says, Bava Buta Barbuta Hechi Abadachi. How did he do this? How could he give eitzes to Hurdus? Why was Daniel punished? Because he gave an eitzah to Nebuchadnezzar, right? So Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that he was going to get punished, right? And then Daniel told him, and he said, give it tzedakah, and then you won't get punished so fast. And then his punishment was pushed off by a year, as we'll see. So anyway, so Daniel gave an eitzah to Nebuchadnezzar, and he was punished. And Emar, Lehen, Malka Milki, Yishpar Allah, V'chatach, B'tzidkach, Bruk, V'ayvasach, B'michan, Anyon, Hein, Tehevi, Arba, Arka, L'shal, Vesach. Right, this is all Aramaic, because it's in Daniel, so it's hard to touch. It says, therefore, the Melech, then I'll have, let me give you an eitzah, then give out tzedakah, and then you'll be nice to the poor people, and then you're going to have a little bit shalva, you'll have a little bit of peace. Uksiv, koila mata Nebuchadnezzar malka. And then it said all the punishments came onto Nebuchadnezzar. Uksiv, l'ktsas yarchin trei asa. It says at the end of 12 months. Meaning at the end of 12 months, the Daniel's eitzah pushed off his punishment for 12 months. Right? Okay, so now the kasha is, so then how can Bava ben Buta give the eitzah? Right? So Iba is saying, some say, Shani Avda Techayev b'mitzvahs. An Eved, he can give an eitzah to, because the Maisa, an Eved is Chayev in mitzvahs, as we know. An Eved is Chayev in mitzvahs like a woman. So since he's Chayev in mitzvahs, you can give him an eitzah how to do tshuva. Nebuchadnezzar was a guy. Iba is saying, Shani Beis HaMikdash, di loy malchus loy misbenei. Because the Beis HaMikdash is different, because he knew, Bava Buta knew, that if he doesn't allow him to build, without a king, you're not going to be able to build the Beis HaMikdash. This was the only way to get the Beis HaMikdash built. Okay, but Daniel Minolan Da'anish, how do we know that Daniel got a punishment? Right? How do we know? Meaning, where do we see that Daniel got a punishment from? If you say because it says Esther called Asach, Rav Asach to Daniel. We said Asach is Daniel, that fits according to the opinion that says that why was he called Hasach? Because they cut him up from his godless, meaning he was downgraded. So Mela, since he was downgraded by Esther or whoever downgraded him, so that's because he gave eitzes to Daniel. But according to the sheet that it says, the reason why he was called Hasach is because all the king's things were cut by his mouth, meaning he was the final decision by the Achashverosh. So that means that what punishment was that? So what are you going to say? So then the Gemara says, no, the Shadyu Laguva Dar Yavasa. They put him into the lion's den, right? The famous story with Daniel. So he was put into the lion's den. The reason why he was punished, even though he was saved from it, but the reason why he was thrown into the lion's den is because he gave this eitzah to Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, that is the end of the story. This is a story for tonight. Motzei Shabbos is supposed to be a story night, so this is the night. I don't know if this is a Gadol story, right? Taisus is actually interesting when he talks about Hasach. So Taisus brings that there are shitas that say that Haman killed Hasach. If you go according to that, then that was a punishment, right? That Haman killed Hasach. So Elamai, Taisus says it was not that girsa. This Gemara must not have had that girsa. Okay, weiter. Now back to building fences, right? Good fences makes good neighbors. So Hakol K'Minhag Medina, we said that if you're building a fence, so whatever the Minhag Medina is, that's how much you can force your neighbor to build a fence. Hakol Asuyemai. What's the word Hakol coming to include? We always know that the word Hakol includes something. Lasuye Asra Denehigi Behutza B'Dafna. It's coming to include, and this Taisus referred to this on Beis Amud Aleph. it's coming to include a land that they allow even hutzav adafna, which is palm trees and branches, meaning a very cheapo type fence. If that's the minig, of that area, I guess. Then that's what you can force them to do. But if it's not, if they don't, then you don't. So we said that since they're both sharing the wall, so if it falls down, belongs to both. So Gemara says pshita, it's pashat, right? Of course it belongs to both. They both chipped in for the wall. Why shouldn't they keep it? Somewhere where it fell into the rishus of one of them, or one guy took all the stones and put into his property. The same. So now we know the rule is once somebody gets onto something, so then we say, so then he would have to prove that it's his wall. Kamash Malon, meaning if he wants to get the rocks back. Kamash Malon, we say no, it is not his he does not have to be Matzi Mechaver al Varaya. Right.
Is Vahusa, by the
So
way,
that's that. What?
I'm sorry is Vahusa Badafna the same lashon they use the different types of walls you can make on a sukkah?
Do we say it? Could be we say it there. I don't know. I don't remember. Anybody remember that?
Sorry, I'm just curious.
It definitely works for a wall of a sukkah.
No, I thought it was the same lashon. Whatever.
I think so. It sounds familiar, but unfortunately, I don't remember. Right, but that which is no chiddush. Yeah. Okay, weiter. V'chein begina makom shenagu ligdor mechayev. Same thing with a garden. That's a makom that was noig to build a fence. But we said if it's an agina in a garden, so then if the makom, the minig of the makom is to build it, so then we will require it. So the Gemara asks haguf v'kasha. We have a steer in the Mishnah. Amrit v'chein begina. It says, and also in agina, which is what? Makom shenagu ligdor mechayev. Say if it's in the area where they build walls in between gardens, then you can force your neighbor to build a wall. Hastama. Ein mechayev say mashma, but if there's no specific minig, then we don't require it. Okay, that's fine. But Ema Sefer, what about the Sefer? Abo Bika, but in a valley, which is basically just all grain fields or vegetable fields, fruit field, whatever it is, not most people don't hang out there. Or Bika, Makom Shenago Shaloi Ligdar Ein Mechayim. So there it says if it's the minig not to build a fence, you're not Mechayim to build a fence. Hostama, Mechayim, I say, but it's mashma that the stam default is that he's required. Shahashta stam gina. If you're saying that a stam garden amrit loy, that there's no the simple default by a garden is that you don't build a wall. Stam bika mi boy. Do I need to say that a stam bika also goes with that? Right. So Amar Abaya. This is how you have to learn it. V'chein stam gina. Right, the way the Mishnah is saying is this. Not doesn't say v'chein begina, v'chein stam gina. Does anybody a stam gina? But we're makom shenagu ligdar b'bika, and in a place where they're noyig to build by a bika mechayiv, and so we're mechayiv him. So meaning basically, Gemara is saying in the pashat the reading of the Mishnah, which is it's hard to do, right? Which is hard. It says there in the Mishnah, "V'chein begina makom shenagu." And a gina, it's tali and minig. Now we're saying no. We're saying v'chein stam gina, and then makom shenagu is going on the bika. Okay, so I'm really rubber imkain my aval. So then what's the aval? Meaning it says aval bika. If you're saying that the first part is talking about a gina and a bika, so then what do you mean aval bika? Aval bika sounds like until now you were not talking about a valley. So we changed the pshat. You have to understand the Mishnah. Stam gina a stam garden is considered like that's the makom that you build a fence. And we're mechayevim. Aval stam bika kimakom shaloi nagu dami, but a stam bika is like a makom that's not the minig, ve'ein mechayevim, saying we're not mechayevim. So now the way we're understanding the Mishnah is that a garden, right? A garden is a stam garden is as if it's the minig to build, and he's chayev. Stam bika is not. Okay, fine. So Elanganagor says Elam Ratza Konis but let's say it's in a place where it's not the minig, and a guy wants to build a wall, so he builds the wall, right? So he builds a wall, but he has to build it in his own property, right? He built it on his own property and he moves it within his property. And then he puts up a sign. He should put up a sign that it's his property. So like this, if it ever falls down, that guy can't have any complaints and say, oh, it's my fence, because he put it on his side. So he puts a sign. My chazis, what does it mean, a sign? So Amar Rav Huna, achfele lakarna levar. What he does, he bends over the top of the wall to the outside, meaning towards the neighbor. Which is interesting. Why would you if you're trying to show that you built the fence, wouldn't you make it tilt towards you? Gemara is saying no. You tilt it towards the neighbor. So that's what Gemara asks. So why don't you tilt it towards the inside? Because it said, well, if you're going to tilt it to the inside, so then your neighbor might, after you build the fence, tilt it towards him. And he's going to say it's mine and yours. So what says guy is lechavre. So even now, when you put it towards a neighbor, he's gonna smooth it down. And again, if there's no sign on the wall, then it's gonna be considered split. He's gonna say it's mine and yours. So he said gezuza made the yediyah. You can tell, and shaves it down. Right, then you can tell, so we can catch him. Igadamri, Amar Avuna Michva Lakarna Milagav, the opposite. He does bend the top of the wall to the inside. So Gemara asks, never milavar. Why don't you do it to the outside? Guys like Chavri. His friend is going to cut it down. But Omar Didivididehu. He's going to say it's mine and yours. So then Gemara asks, Hachi, if so, Hashtanami Laif Lechavre. Right, but you're going to say that now. He can also bend it towards him. So Gemara says, you can, if he puts an attachment later on, he adds something on, you'll be able to tell that it was added later. So Gemara says, why are you saying you make it to the inside? The Mishnah says you make it on the outside. So kasha, that's taka kasha. So that's part of an ikadamri, right? So again, we have two opinions on how to go about making the sun in the wall. Fine. Rabbi Yochanan says Antam Abayz Nishaye ba'amsa milavar. What you have to do is just you take some cement or lime or whatever it is that they put, and you pull it out an amma on the outside. I mean, you don't bend the wall. You don't have to put extra pieces of cement or rocks. You just add on. No, I'm sorry. You don't have to put rocks. You add on some cement. Let's call it cement. So whenever why don't you do it towards the inside? Because then a friend is going to do it towards his side, and he's hey, Didi, Vididehu. It's both of ours. Ihachi. If so, Hashtanami. So now that it's outside the kafale chavre v'amar, then the friend is. That you're saying the friend is going to bend it, and he's going to say Didi v'Dideu. It's both of ours, right? Meaning, this that he's just adding it on, right? Meaning, I'm sorry, the friend is just, if you put it towards the outside, he's just going to peel it off, and he's going to say Didi v'Dideu. One answers. Kilufa made a yediyah. We're going to be able to tell if he peels off the lime or cement that was added. We will be able to tell. Putza, Okay, so that's if the regular bricks. Chutza. What if it's made out of palm? So Amar Rav Nachman, Sinufa Yerechim Ulavar. What you do is you take, meaning if you make it out of palm branches, etc. So how do you make a simon on that? How do you make a sign? So what you do is when you're attaching them together, you stick it out a little bit, or you attach it on the outside. V'neven milagav, same question. Why do you do it on the inside? The friend is going to do the same thing, and he's going to say, it's both of our walls. So when I ask Hachi Hashtanami, guy is v'shadile. So what's going to happen is that the neighbor, since it's bent towards him, is going to cut off the pieces. And you say, look, there's no sign on the wall belongs to both of us. So Mishra Gleitina. So he said, what you're going to do is you put some mud on it. And you put some mud, that will be the sign. Okay, but the neighbor's going to come peel off the mud. So Gemara answers again, we know that he's going to peel it off. Okay. Abaya Amar Hutza Lesnei Takanta. Hutza has no takana, ella b'shtara. Only with a star. Meaning, the only way to put a sign, if you have this palm branch wall, the only way to make a sign is to do it with a star. That's a bias shot. Okay, so basically we had repeat Gemaras that were always choshed the neighbor for pulling all sorts of shtick. And Lamaisa, we say that if he does any shtick, it'll be recognizable. Okay, then the Gemara says, so the Mishnah says if they do it with the das of both of them, so then they split everything. You build it in the middle, and you make a sign on both sides, right? So the Gemara is saying, meaning we're saying each one makes a sign on their side because they're sharing it. Why don't you just not make signs, and then you're in the same spot? Amarle, so he said to him, no, what do you need the case? We don't need it only in the case the kadam charmina. Really, you don't need two signs. We're talking about one of them puts up a sign and says, "I built this wall." So once one of them puts up a sign, then if the friend doesn't put it up, so then he's going to say it's his. So then the Gemara says, "V'tana takanta l'ramei kamashmalan." Are we saying a takana that you have to put up a sign in case your neighbor is a crook and he's going to put up a sign without you? So that's what making takanas that you need to put up signs just in order to avoid somebody who's a liar. So the
This
Gemara
kasha is
says,
presumably going back. This kasha is going back on all the cases, not just this case. The whole reason to make a chazis. That's what he's asking him, right?
I don't understand what you're saying.
The entire purpose of the chazis in the Mishnah is what we're asking on, not just this case. Why did the Gemara wait till here to ask this question?
Because the Gemara is saying, what do you mean? That they both need signs? This is the first time it says that.
Or the one needs a sign. It's also for a Ramai.
Well, in the Resha. Yeah, but only one of them needs a sign.
That means
there
we're
was only
making
one
a
needed a
takana for
sign.
the other one who's the Ramai. Either way, one of them is a Ramai. The only reason we need to make a chazis is because we're scared one of them, the other guy's a Ramai. So here we're scared that they're both Ramai.
Correct.
But either way, we're making a
Well,
takana for
I don't know if we're saying with their boy. We're concerned that they're both.
I don't know. Anytime you need a chazis, it's like we're saying, we're chayshish that the other guy's a Ramai.
Right.
I care to hear this
I'm
one's
saying, but before that. No, but here the Gemara had a problem. Why are you both putting up a sign? We know from the previous Gemara, if both of them put up the wall, you don't need a sign. So why here do you need a sign by a Gina or a Bika? So why do you need a sign?
There's one of them put up a sign.
Because already. One of them. Correct.
So therefore the other one should put up just in case.
Right. So we're saying we're making a takana for that. So, because now you started up with that teretz, and now the Gemara asks that.
But the first, when one of them builds it, the fact that he needs to put up a chazis, that's not because we're chayshish beramos. What's the
Yes.
reason that one person, when he puts it in his property, needs to put a chazis mibachutz on the other guy's side? Because we're scared that
Right.
the other guy's going to do something.
Correct.
So that's chashina l'ramos. So every case of chazis is chayshish l'ramai.
Yeah. Well, isn't that? I mean, that ultimately isn't that why you put up a sign?
So I'm asking you, why did Gemara wait till here? The first case is worse. This case is less of a chashash. We're just saying, be safe. The other guy put one up already. You should also put one up. Just be safe. But in the first case of the good Mishnah,
Yeah.
that's the real chayshin on the Raman.
Okay. I hear. All right. I hear what you're saying. I don't know. Well, the bottom line is it's a chashash for a ramai. Bottom line is there's ramai that's going on over here. You're asking why I didn't say it before. Yeah. I hear. Okay. I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyways, so Amalei Reisha Lafta Kantal Ramayu is a Reisha is not a takana for a Ramai. So Amalei Bishlam Reisha Tana Dino Mishum Dino Tana Takanda. In the Reisha it was a din. In the Reisha we taught a din, right? Because you're talking about an abika where they don't normally put up fences. So if a guy wants to put up a fence, you want to make sure you put up a sign. And maybe no, you want to tell him he should put it up. He could put it up, but he has to put it up on his own side of the field, and he has to pay for it. And then mishum dina tanatakanta. So we said, okay, once he's doing that, you know what? You might as well put up a sign so that there won't be confusion. So it's really coming from a din. Halaseifa dina katani, the katani takanta. Was there a din that was said that you're saying a takana? All right. So Ravina hacha behutzi askinon. So Ravina says we're talking about hutzi again with the palm trees. And therefore, lafuki medabaya damar hutza lesle takanta ela b'shtara, and it's coming to exclude abaya because abaya says the only way to have a takana to make a sign that it's yours is to put up a sign, is to make a star, just a regular document. Kamash malon de bechazis sagi. It's coming to tell you that by a palm branched wall, it's enough with just a chazis. Right, just enough with a sign. So it's very interesting. So then, are we slugging up Abaya? Right? It sounds like the Mishnah is slugging up Abaya because Abaya's opinion, the Mishnah is saying, we're excluding Abaya. Okay, now we get into a very interesting we get an interesting case here, which is if you have a guy and he's surrounded, I forgot, somebody called it a name in real estate where you have a property within a property surrounded by other properties. I mean, you have to give him access, but other than that, he's got one property surrounded on four sides by another property, right? And then the guy on
He
the
has
outer
easements.
property,
He has easements to
well, he
get through
gets
to
an
his property.
easement, but there's a
But
name for this type of real estate where you have to go past the other guy's field. You know, he's within the other guy's fields.
I actually had a
Yeah.
property. I still don't remember the name. The Bronx.
Yeah, okay, so he's something like that. So now the guy builds the fences. Yeah, a guy surrounding his friend on three sides. Meaning, Lamashpil, if my mother's house, so the both neighbors on the side and the neighbor in the back would all be owned by one guy. Right? And Vigoder is a Rishonim as a Shniv as a Shlishis. And what he does is he builds a fence on all three sides. Right? Yeah. Ein Mechayev and Oisoi. We are not Mechayev him to the meaning the inner guy, the guy on the inside, does not have to pay for the fences. He didn't ask for the fences, right? So he can't tie on him, right? Now there's interesting because where is he putting these fences? In between his, I initially thought it's in between his field and the guy in the middle, right? But I didn't remember this. But the article brings Tosfos in the footnote. He brings Tosfos in Bava Kama, saying that it's not. It's all the way on the outside of his fields, which ultimately would provide protection to the guy on the inside. Meaning, if you read this Mishnah, it seems like the wall is going up in between the middle guy's field and the outer guy's fields. Tosfos in Bava Kama says no. Then it's going on the outer guy's fields, which either way, both are providing protection for the inside guy, right? But anyway, so we're saying that we're not mechayev him. Rabbi Yossi says, "Im Amad v'Gadar as Revius megagal and osakol." If he gets up and he puts up a fourth wall, then he shows that he's very happy with these walls. In which case, we split everything, right?
Why?
Then
He
we
could be
split
happy. He
everything.
could decide now that it's only cost him a quarter to do it.
Right, but that means you're very happy with the walls.
He could admit that he's very happy. He didn't have to pay for it, but he only put up the fourth wall because it cost him a quarter. If he knew it would cost him to pay for all, maybe he wouldn't have done it.
What?
If he knew he'd have to pay
Exactly
full
what we're
price.
saying.
Yeah.
We're saying because
Correct.
you put it up, it
He's
shows
still-
you
but he's
want
still-
it. Now you're not getting away cheap. You got to pay up.
But I'm saying the other way. If he knew that he had to pay, maybe he
You're
wouldn't have put up
trying to
the
get
fourth
away
wall.
cheap by only doing one
Right.
wall. It shows you want it, and that's what the Gemara is telling you. No, too bad. You want it, now you got to pay for it.
Meaning Naftali, you're showing
I understand you're
that
showing you want it. You do want it, and but you just this was done. You didn't know this rule, so you put up the fourth wall because it's cheap. If you would have known that putting
right,
up the fourth wall,
but you still that's what
Right.
you're doing, but you're still taking advantage, right? Okay, but that's what Rabbi Yossi says. So the question is, how much?
if he would have came to you beforehand,
what's the
to put it
machlokes?
up.
Is there a machlokes?
Well, if he would have came to you, the outside guy came to you beforehand and said to help put up.
So
You would
what?
say, "I want the wall, but I can't afford it. I can't do it, so I'm not doing it. I want something, but I can't have everything I
Correct.
want."
Right, but now you're taking advantage of him once you put up the fourth wall.
Naftali, in Bava Kama, it's in the context of Zen Nene v'Zeh Chaser. The Gemara, the Havamim of the Gemara there said Zeh Loi Nene v'Zeh Chaser. So Zeh Loi Nene, he doesn't have to pay. As soon as he puts up the fourth wall, he's now Zeh Nene v'Zeh Chaser. He's gaining, and the other guy is losing. He spent a lot
Why
of
is he
money
losing?
on the fence. He spent a lot of money on the
But
fence.
he did it for himself.
It's irrelevant. I'm gaining from them, and he's
Good.
losing. You have to pay.
Not the chaser.
He is chaser. You can't take away the fact that he's chaser. He spent money. It's
He
zen.
did it regardless. You can't say that.
It's
He did it
irrelevant.
regardless.
He's paying for my gain. It's irrelevant if he did it regardless. If I'm gaining for something that someone else is losing from, I'm chayav to pay.
Okay, whatever it is.
Okay, yeah, we'll work on it later.
Meaning the point is that you're taking advantage of a guy. That's the bottom line.
If I plant Clyam right next to the fence, and I'm the one who doesn't want the fence, and now the fence falls down, who has to put up the fence?
Yeah, you say, I don't know. I mean, you want to wait.
He's
What are you
trying to
saying,
pick a
Paris?
fight with
That this-
Akiva, and Akiva's not on.
I was saying he's trying to say that this is an easy way to get a guy to build a fence. Just build some climb up against him. I hear, not a bad idea. But yeah, okay. So let's see. So anyway, so now the question is, what's the machlokes between Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi? So let's see the Gemara. Some Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, halacha Rabbi Yossi, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, the Amar im Amad v'gadar es Revius, a gagal and a sakol. If a guy stands up and he builds the fourth wall, we make him pay for everything. Loishna Amad Nikif, Loishna Amad Makif. Oh, doesn't make a difference if the guy who was the surrounded, meaning the inner guy, built the fourth wall. Loishna Amad Makif. And it doesn't make a difference if the outer guy does it. See what Rabbi Yossi is saying? Now he's changing it to maybe enough. I mean, I don't know if this changes Naftali's taina or not. He's saying now, don't make a difference. Once that fourth wall goes up, then he has to pay for all because he's for sure benefiting from it, even if he doesn't say that he wanted it. Right? He's for sure benefiting from it. Right? So that's already much more of a chiddush. If he built the fourth wall himself, okay, we understand that he wanted it. But if the outer guy built the fourth wall himself, so then what? So you built 4 walls. So we say no, he is benefiting from it. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Tomorrow's daf is short, so I guess we can stop
I
over
understand.
here.
So you
and
could
then
force
we'll go.
someone to pay for something he's benefiting from if he didn't want it. Yeah, he's benefiting. He didn't ask for it.
Yo, that was in 2 days ago. Where was that daf? Where was that daf that we said Yehuda Huzan said you cannot benefit from somebody. You cannot benefit from somebody without paying for it.
Those are Yochanan.
Yochanan, we said there's a
Yochanan
sheet
said
in
it
this.
about Rabbi Yehuda.
So if I go to your house and I put a new roof up for you, I could charge you without you asking.
100%. You can't charge full price, but there's also we had that Gemara a few times. I hired workers, and instead they went to your property instead of my property.
Right.
Right? You have to pay, sure.
Charge the cost.
Not the full,
Charge
not
the cost.
necessarily. Right? The cost. Guy can't make a profit off of it.
I didn't need a roof.
Well, whatever it is, you still have to. Whatever benefit you got, you have to pay. Yes, it's a way to make some business, Naftali. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Not my style.
But
business.
you're not. It's not really worth it because you're not gonna be able to charge full price.
Not my style business.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, okay, we'll stop over there. Tillim. Yud Gimel. Lamaseh Mizmal Davish. Adona Adonai Tishkacheni Netzach Adona Taster Spenachem Imeni Adona Ish Ashis Eitzes